All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first meeting of March of the Pinniped Community Meeting. Today's date is March 3rd, 2022. If you are watching this from home, we encourage you to come join us live. We meet every first and third Thursday of the month at 9 a.m. Pacific time. It's an opportunity for you to come and hang out with the maintainers, other members of the community. You can bring up anything you wish to discuss down at the agenda, whether it be things you need help with, you have a feature request, any questions you might have of Pinniped. We would love to have you join us live and we can work out all that stuff together in real time. If you aren't able to join us in these meetings, you are welcome to find us in the Kubernetes Slack workspace within the Pinniped channel. If you don't already have access to the Kubernetes Slack workspace, you can just request an invitation to gain access, and all the maintainers are in there, so you can post a question in there and we'll be quick to respond to you. You can also find us in Twitter at Project Pinniped. And anytime that you are engaging with us or any members of the community, whether that's in GitHub, Slack, Twitter, email, we ask that you please read and abide by our code of conduct. Moving on to agenda items, just a reminder, we have this GitHub discussion that asks how you're using Pinniped, and you are welcome to go put a comment within this discussion so that others, as well as maintainers, can learn use cases of how folks are using Pinniped. It helps the team understand the ways that people are using it to best learn how to work on the project, what other features they might need to work on. Kind of gives them a more insight on how things are working for others regarding that, and it helps the community understand better on how they might be able to use it if they see the way others are using it. Whenever you are attending, we just ask that you put in your name and any organization that you're representing here in the attendees section. Moving on to announcements. So there's a few different items in the repo that we have updated recently. So the Pinniped governance doc we've updated here. A little tweaking here and there. One of the biggest items is that we've added a proposal process when previously we didn't have something clearly defined. So we have this governance doc, and then we also have proposals, so that whenever you do have a proposal for Pinniped, you know how to follow a process and make it a little bit easier for you and for others to read. If you have any feedback regarding either one of those items, please reach out to us. We would love to hear more from you and how we can possibly update this to better suit you. Next thing for announcements, in case you missed it, Margo Crawford, one of the maintainers for Pinniped, did a demo and went over Pinniped itself within TGI Kubernetes, and you can go to their YouTube list and check out the video there for a replay. Let us know what you think about that. If there's something more that you would want to see in the future with similar presentations. If there's any questions you have after watching that, please let us know. Now on to a big announcement. This is going to be my last Pinniped community meeting that I am the community manager of. We have been doing a few little transitions, kind of changing up some stuff here at VMware, and I will be taking over a different project, and my colleague Nigel Brown will be becoming the community manager for Pinniped. And he is on the call today. I don't know, Nigel, if you wanted to say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. I'm Nigel. Yeah. I don't know what else you'd like me to say here.
Oh, whatever you want.
we did not rehearse this ahead of time. Yeah, my name is Nigel. I am a community manager here at VMware. I most recently was helping launch the Tanzu Community Edition community. And yeah, happy to be over here now working with the Pinniped team.
Nigel, and Nigel's a bit more technical than me, so you may see him actually doing more demos of his own on Pinniped, sharing more of things that I'm not too knowledgeable about. So he definitely has a one up on there for me, and you might see him on the conference circuit talking about Pinniped. Who knows? I might be speaking a little bit too much for him right now, but I'm always super impressed with his technical background. So super excited to have him take this over. While I am sad that I will be leaving, I'll still be around.
Yeah, we are definitely sad to see you go, Nancy. But yeah, also happy, Nigel, that you're joining the group. At the same time, sad to see Nancy leave. It's mixed emotions.
Yeah, he's definitely going to bring some other elements here, and I think it'll be super cool to see. Next up, status updates. Regarding the project roadmap. So is there anything particular updated here for the project roadmap since last meeting?
Yes, we are very close to releasing the group refresh functionality. Just, a bunch of delays internally, but ready to release it very soon, either today or tomorrow. So look for that. And we already released, last time I had spoken about it, that we have a great how-to guide now, which is posted on on the website. So do go over that if you haven't already. The rest of the roadmap is the same.
Yes, but this right here is the how-to guide that was recently published on our website. So yeah, be sure to go take a look at that and let us know what you think. And then as far as the upcoming release, you said in the next couple of days, I did see there's going to be a blog post attached to that?
There is going to be update to an existing blog post, the version 13 blog post that we had posted. There will be an update to that.
Okay, great. Thank you, Anjali. Moving on to discussion topics. Looks like we didn't have anything here. Does anybody have anything that's popped up since we started the meeting that they want to bring up with the team?
Margo, not to put you on the spot, but since you did most of the coding work, did you want to talk about anything related to what's coming in 15?
Version 15 is, it's mostly about bringing our LDAP refresh up to parity with OIDC by checking whether groups have changed upon refresh. That's happening in line. So for some users that might require tweaking the LDAP search params to make it performant. So that's not like a very long operation that's happening every time a user refreshes, which is every 5 minutes or so. In the case that that's still not really possible to do, there is like a flag you can use to turn it off, although we don't recommend it. If there's a way you can just tweak your LDAP search params to be more performant, and we might change it or remove it in the future. So yeah, but it's a pretty small release just to get that LDAP group refresh, LDAP and Active Directory group refresh at the door.
Good stuff. Thanks, Margo.
Awesome. Once it's out, I'll test it on an environment with 13 domains in a forest that is set to search the entire forest with 22,000 users. So I'll let you know what the performance is. And we'll
Probably
see.
painful.
Perfect.
Probably
We'll see.
bad. Probably bad.
No, but we'll see, you know, based off of that, and then I'll start to tweak it and everything. And, you know, there can also be is there going to be any recommendations on the types of tweaking or anything like that? Is there anything that you guys have found in terms of the tweaking, or is that more, it'll be exploratory and things like that? Because I can also probably, after tweaking with it in that environment, which I probably will need to do, you know, I can give some feedback, and maybe that can be added then to documentation of ideas of types of tweaks that could be made to make it more performant in such
Yeah.
environments.
Perfect.
I don't think we had any specific recommendations in mind, you know.
There's one, right, which is turn off nesting search. That's the one we noticed internally made the query go from 30 seconds to instant. It's just don't look for nested groups. And I was like, yeah, but that's lame. Like, I want my nested groups to also work. So it wasn't maybe desirable, but it did at least was tractable for, I guess, in certain environments where maybe it's not as important.
Yeah.
And you know, if you have more control over the schema, you know, in AD and stuff, you know, you might be able to scope it down to not just the whole forest.
Right.
That depends on your situation. But yeah, as a way to try to make it more clear to the user that these things are happening, as you're using, you know, kubectl, which is under the hood using the Pinniped CLI, the server will send sort of informative warnings to the client to let it know when the groups are changing. So like you'll actually notice that if you're in a state where your groups are actually changing, because you know the AD and stuff are not, you know, they're eventually consistent, so you can hit different replicas of domain controllers and stuff and get different group information back. So that might be confusing if you have policy attached to your groups. So we did try to make it more clear to an end user that that is occurring. Can't make your IDP more consistent than it is, but we can at least inform you that stuff is happening.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, no, and I think in Active Directory there is a way also to limit the depth of a query, if I'm not mistaken, of nested searches. In Active Directory, I don't think that's native LDAP. But I'll see what the performance is there, and then if I end up finding something like that, that may be something that could be added then to the Active Directory, you know, identity provider, you know, at least, or to documentation for LDAP of if your LDAP supports this, like Active Directory, you can do ABC. So after testing, I'll come back with some numbers and some findings for sure.
That'll be super helpful. Thank you.
I don't think
Yeah.
we currently have support for like scope, which is one of the other LDAP search programs you can use to limit how much of a tree you're searching, I think.
Yeah, I think
I don't
so.
know if
I've
that's
never seen it
necessary.
used.
Yeah.
I've never seen that used though in any tool, so I'm not sure how much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Well, cool. Anything else regarding that before we move on? Any other discussion topics folks want to bring up?
I did remember, this is a little bit early and I didn't necessarily plan on talking about it, but I will mention it. We've started doing investigatory work in regards to Pinniped auth against dashboards. So not just the kubectl style client. So those are in sort of like an early stage. I don't know how much we want to talk about anything like that, other than just, you know, we're exploring it. We've had some requests in the past. TLDR there's a decent amount of work to make it work, but it is tractable, I think. It's a matter of making it a priority and among all the other things that we have in flight.
Is the idea going down an approach like QBAPS did with the Pinniped proxy, or is it like actually just opening up APIs and changing the way that clients actually authenticate to Pinniped to not shell out in a container to Pinniped like is done?
Yeah, so in my sort of initial proof of concept, what I did is I wrote a proxy similar to the one that QBAPS has, but it's a little bit more robust, and I was able to make it work with QBAPS without really modifying QBAPS. So I just kind of told QBAPS that the clusters were here, and it didn't really know any better, and it seemed to work all right with enough tweaks we config. So that is an approach. I can kind of see a spectrum of things, since we're so much more limited with what is a reasonable approach in a browser. I could imagine implementations that do a better job of hiding any proxying occurring, instead of making it sort of like the easiest thing would be to say, hey, QBAPS in your backend also co-locate this proxy process, and just kind of just have it there and kind of hide it. And I think that would work fine for things like QBAPS. But if you wanted to support anything like an SPA, then the problem is much harder, because basically the only thing that you can do is sort of vanilla OAuth in an SPA.
Yeah.
So depends if we care of such a use case and how far we want to take it. And certainly those are much more complex to, I think, implement on the Pinniped side, but you know, it's early stages. We're just kind of thinking through things. But I was happy that I was able to at least make it work. So.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And it'll work with the supervisor though, or is it direct to concierge?
Yeah, so it's with the supervisor. But basically my demo, my POC, right, with the Pinniped supervisor, QBAPS with multi-cluster auth, with the same security guarantees that we have today with the Pinniped CLI, so no compromise in that sense. Yeah.
I know there's the other story, Mo, on the, you know, being able to add additional client IDs, like registering other clients to Pinniped. Does that solve the issue completely? Like if that was solved, because then anything that supports OIDC would work with the supervisor in turn, and then not need the proxy?
So that is a hard requirement for such a thing, probably. I mean, maybe you could imagine other integration points, but if you want to stay within OIDC, that is effectively a hard requirement. So that is one of the things that my POC did, which was just kind of hand wave that and be like, here's a new client that you can use for a Webflow. There's, you know, other nuances, like we don't, unlike Dex, we don't have a UI for like AD and LDAP logins. Unlike, I don't remember if Dex has this, but certainly unlike OpenShift, we don't have consent pages for clients to be granted scopes a la OAuth style. So those things are missing. Even if you sort of hand wave all of that away and just say eventually we catch up with the standard OIDC OAuth bits, because Pinniped tries to work everywhere, we have a lot of machinery in the CLI that hides a bunch of clusters auth complexity. that either has to be replicated in the backend somehow of a web app. And if you don't have a backend, then there is really no solution. It's just impractical. There's no way in the browser to do client cert auth, right? That's dynamic and controllable by a user, other than like inserting a client cert into your browser globally, which is not how Pinniped auth works. So if you wanted something like an SPA, it requires a much more fancy approach. If you're willing to have a backend, and that backend is like kind of sophisticated like CubeApps is, then I think the problem is much smaller and much more tractable. But yeah, it's hard to like for example, CubeApps works with GKE in a kind of a vanilla OAuth way, because GKE globally will accept access tokens across all GKE clusters, just as long as they have like a particular scope, right? So because Google, like accounts.google.com is a global issuer, and it's just like, yeah, free for all, send the access tokens anywhere. Pinniped just basically refuses to follow that model because we cannot guarantee that those access tokens won't be observable by like a cluster admin on one environment. So we can't let you replay them across environments, where GKE is sort of taking the approach that the cluster admin of a cluster can't get access to tokens. And because they can't get access to tokens, then it's fine that the tokens are replayable. That's sort of their approach.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a messy soup problem right now.
all right, cool. Well, thanks for all the info. It's interesting. Looking forward to wherever it goes. Sure.
Great. Thanks, Scott. As always, providing great questions and good feedback. All right. Okay. Anything else folks want to talk about? Going once, twice. All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in to this week's edition of the Pinniped community meeting. If you are watching this from home, please come join us live. We meet every first and third Thursday of the month at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And again, this is my last time hosting the community as a community manager, and I'm passing the baton to another amazing community manager, Nigel Brown. So you'll see his face on the third Thursday of this month, and he'll be your host from here on out. And with that, thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, Nancy. Thanks all.